Chapter 3. It's a trap. If you live in a house for a long time, it must not be difficult for you to walk to the toilet or kitchen with your eyes closed. But the problem is that I have only been to this villa twice, and I was asked to walk downstairs with my eyes closed. It is simply too difficult to get out of the villa's door. I closed my eyes and moved step by step for fear of falling. At first, I could still hear the sound of Yiheng walking. As I walked, I suddenly realized that I could no longer hear his voice. I panicked and instinctively wanted to open my eyes. Fortunately, I restrained myself in time. Actually, with Yiheng here, I still have some confidence in my heart. If it doesn't work, I can still shout loudly for him to come and save me. With this thought in mind, he stood still, calmed down his emotions, and continued to move forward. I held on to the handrail and went down to the first floor, and then it became difficult to move forward. First of all, I was completely out of breath. If I kept holding it in any longer, I would faint from lack of oxygen, and without the help of handrails, I couldn't even tell the direction. It was easier said than done to get out. After walking only 2 steps, I couldn't help but gasp, and I felt something in front of me. I believe many people have had this feeling. Even with your eyes closed, you can feel if there is something very close to your face. Many people can even feel it even if they can't see each other when they are being looked at. I thought to myself, Yiheng asked me to spit something out when I hit something. I haven't hit it yet, but if I take another step, I will hit it. Should I spit it out, or not? I had forgotten to feel the thing in my mouth just now because I was so scared, but now I realized it. It was really disgusting. What the hell did it taste like? After a moment of hesitation in my mind, and the disgusting taste of the thing in my mouth, I couldn't hold my breath at all, so I retched the thing in my mouth, and then coughed uncontrollably. After such a toss, I subconsciously opened my eyes. As soon as I opened my eyelids, I regretted it, but it was already too late. My eyes haven't adapted to it yet, so I can't see clearly. I clapped my hand forward, and strangely, the thing in front of me that I could feel just now disappeared. This time I was even more scared, because the feeling just now was too real to be an illusion. Not to mention that I neither held my breath, nor opened my eyes now. I quickly called Yiheng's name, but no one answered me. I looked around and saw that I had already walked into the hall. The door was just a few steps away from me. After looking in the right direction, I ran towards the door. I opened the door and ran a few steps, before I dared to stop and catch my breath. There was still no sign of Yiheng. I called him on my mobile phone, but no one answered. After waiting for a while, I saw him slowly moving out of the door. After leaving the gate, he opened his eyes and saw me looking at him, so he spit out what was in his mouth, and then he also retched. I really regretted not bringing a bottle of water. Seeing him retching made me want to fucking vomit again. Yiheng asked me why I came out before him. I was also puzzled. He was obviously walking, and he stopped moving. Logically speaking, he should be walking in front of me. Maybe it was because I opened my eyes just now. It ran away, so it was very fast, but I just ran a few steps, which didn't save much time. Now I can't think about these problems. The taste in my mouth is really disgusting. I asked Yiheng what he put in my mouth. It was so damn disgusting. He curled his lips and said, "If you tell me, I will feel even more disgusting. It's better not to know." When I thought about the routine he used to urinate with a child, I thought that 80% of it was not a good thing. I said, "Just tell me if it's sheep." He nodded and said yes. I immediately retched again. Yiheng said that these are sheep dung balls. The rams should only eat mugwort for a period of time. After the rams completely clear their intestines, the feces will be the ones they pull out. I felt a little better after listening to it. At least it sounded cleaner than human feces. Next I asked him, "You said something came back. What was it, wrong soul?" He thought for a moment and said, "It seems so." Now I felt even more unsure, because he looked very uneasy. I thought to myself, don't worry about the gold and silver treasures. There will be no good consequences for being greedy. Let's just settle the deal for 200,000 yuan. I can't afford to wade through this muddy water. The two rested for a while and then walked back. On the way back, Yiheng briefly explained it to me. Holding the feces of ram mugwort in your mouth is said to calm the vibrations in the meridians, and spraying it out has a strong exorcism effect. Holding one's breath reduces the dispersion of yang qi, and prevents unclean things from invading the body. Close your eyes, it's about giving that thing respect. If you can't see it, it won't mess with you. He said that in the same way, if you see unclean things in life, it is best not to say anything. If you talk about and question their existence at night, it will easily attract their attention, and get you into trouble. After I listened to what he said, I remembered to tell him what happened when I opened my eyes, and ran out without holding my breath. After hearing this, his face became unhappy. He smoked a cigarette and told me that he could not sell the house anyway, and could only keep it for himself. I wanted to ask in detail, but he shook his head and said, he can't tell me. When I returned to the hotel, I felt very uneasy all the time. I could only smoke non-stop while lying on the bed. I basically didn't sleep much all night. I fell asleep a few times, only to wake up again after 10 or 8 minutes. Early the next morning, the wealthy man called me to sign the contract. It seemed like he was really anxious. I found a very far-fetched reason to postpone it for a few days. The rich man was quite unwilling and tried to persuade me for a long time, but I could only continue to deal with it. After putting down the phone, I asked Yiheng what I should do next. He thought for a long time before he choked out a sentence and said, "We have fallen into a trap this time." Hearing what he said, I also panicked. If there were any loopholes in the contract, it would be fine if we were defrauded of some money, but judging from his tone, it must be more troublesome than I thought. I quickly asked Yiheng what trick we had fallen into. Yiheng sighed and said that the scale of ancient tombs had certain standards. For example, the emperor's coffin had 7 layers, the prince's had 5 layers, the doctor had 3 layers, etc. We had received news before that there were already coffins in the villa. According to the description in the news, there should be only 1 coffin, and we don't know the whereabouts of the coffin later. The rich man did not explain this matter when he told the story. We were too careless before and didn't feel the existence of evil things inside, so we never thought deeply about it, but this time we went back and actually met something. This is obviously completely contrary to common sense. Yiheng took a sip of water. When he said this, my throat was also dry, but I was in a hurry. He said that if it were a very low-level tomb, only 1 coffin would be enough. But looking back at the murals on the walls of the villa, I felt that it was not that simple. In other words, maybe even the villa is a coffin of this tomb. When we enter the villa, we may be treated as a buried boy by the owner. Even if we come out safe and sound, we will probably die within a certain period of time. I know that the inner walls of many coffins are painted with paintings that imagine the ascension to heaven or depict the owner's life. But after hearing what he said, I couldn't connect these things together at all, because in my concept, since it is a tomb, it must be underground. At least the coffin should be buried underground. If the entire villa is also a coffin, let alone the fact that the original coffin is no longer there, it is unjustifiable just to say that the coffin is exposed on the ground. Yiheng was also deep in thought. After thinking for a long time, he said, "We still have to go to that villa. If we continue like this, we can only wait for death." The rich man probably knew this a long time ago, and he deliberately let us in. I was already resistant to that villa, but after hearing what he said, I really didn't dare to go there. But he didn't seem to be an alarmist, so I had no choice but to follow him. I couldn't risk my life just to make money. I really struggled a lot before going. Yiheng asked me to shave off all the hair on my body from the neck down, even my pubic hair, saying that it would make me look more like a boy. I thought I was quite funny, but I couldn't laugh out loud, so I had no choice but to let him arrange everything. Then, he applied a sticky substance on my face like a facial mask, telling me that it was aged glutinous rice, and had to be boiled on New Year's Eve to be effective. Everything is ready. All we can do is wait until dark. If we go out during the day with this kind of behavior, we will really not be able to meet people.